You are listening to episode 152 of the Confident Coaches Podcast, the one where you figure out what to do when you crash after success. Let's go. Welcome to the Confident Coaches Podcast, a place for creating the self-confidence you need to do your best work as a life coach. If you want to bring more boldness, more resilience, and more joy to your work, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Amy Latta. Let's dive in. Coaches, it's your dear friend Amy Latta, and I love the topic I'm getting ready to share with you today because listen, this concept is a widely known phenomena that not many people talk about. I mean, like you've heard people mention it, but I'm actually going to dive deep down into this idea because at first glance, this seems like a, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't actually believe you, but like, yeah, okay, got it, whatever. No, we're diving down deep into what I call the success crash. Yeah, the crash that comes after you achieve a success you've never achieved before. It's real. It happens to pretty much everyone I know. And yet, I don't see a whole hell of a lot of people saying what to do when it happens to you. And this is my jam. Well, lots of things are my jam, but this is particularly one of the things that I coach on all of the time. I don't know how many coaches I've coached in both Free to Paid Coach and in the Path to 100K Mastermind of what happens when they have their first X and they feel worse than they did before. And you're like, what? Because here's the thing, everybody listening right now, you are convinced on some level, even if it is in your primitive Helga brain, you have convinced yourself that when you achieve X, when you get to X spot, you're going to feel amazing. Your belief will finally arrive. Your confidence will finally be there. It's like your confidence is waiting for you in a pretty package when you get to X. I know y'all think this because every human thinks this. I think this. I have yet to meet a coach who doesn't think this, and I coach on it all the time. You think when you're brand spanking new, if only some people would show interest, if only I could get a consult, if only those consults would say yes, if only I could see those first dollars in the bank account, the first 5K. And one of my favorite things is the massive crash that comes when you hit your first 5 figures. When you have your first 5-figure month and you're like, that's when I'll know, I'm going to tell you, you've never seen coaches more distraught. You have never seen the rest of the mastermind looking at this one person going, wait, you've achieved everything that I've been wanting to achieve, and why are you freaking out? I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense to me. First, you're not sure to be baffled by them and be like, you're crazy. Or it freaks the other people out. Like, wait a minute. I thought I was going to feel so much better when I got there, and this person is there, and they feel worse, and I don't understand what's happening. The success crash is real. You've never seen anyone more distraught in Free to Paid Coach after they get the first interest in people, after that first consult has come. And I am telling you, if I've coached one, I've coached 20 different people in Path to 100K who achieved that first 5-figure month, and they are shutting down. In fact, there's a mastermind member right now that I just coached her a couple weeks ago. She's already made 5 figures since we started in August, and she's struggling to celebrate any of it. Like her face is literally like, yeah, okay, yep, celebrate. Because her brain's going, now what? You can't do that again. You can't do that again. You're unsure how you created it in the first place. It was probably a fluke. And even if it wasn't a fluke, you probably didn't deserve it. Probably didn't deserve it. I don't know. Are you really allowed to have that kind of success? And oh shit, now I got to prove myself. Now people are going to find out. Now they're going to know. They're going to find out I may not be up to the task. They're going to find out that I have a human brain also. And that can't be allowed. we think that some level of success, we will suddenly not have a human brain that freaks out all of the time. Last week's episode was all about how to believe when you don't have the results. And that happens at every single level. There's no magical place. As my mentor Cara says, there's no off-ramp to the human experience. And we really do like the idea as a quote, but when we get there, we're like, oh shit. And this client is not the first person, and she won't be the last. Because I also just coached in Free to Paid Coach. Somebody has more interest in DMs than she's ever had before. And she's in turmoil with some very similar thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not prepared. It's all a fluke. I'm undeserving. This happened to me. I don't know how to recreate it. Everyone's about to find out the truth. Listen in, my friends, my loves. Success brings out all your worst anxieties, all your worst fears. It's a lie that you're going to feel better there than you do here. It also doesn't have to be a problem. That's the best news ever. So step 1 in all of this is just understand that it's normal. Congratulations, you are a normal human being. You are not a sociopath. The crash is not a problem because the crash is expected. It happens to everyone. All you gotta do is watch any VH1 True Hollywood Story or Behind the Scenes or Where Are They Now? And you see some of the most successful people in the world who experienced their own crash because they got there and they found out there wasn't all it was cracked up to be because they thought there was going to make them happier. It's not actually a sign that anything's gone wrong. It's not actually a sign that you shouldn't be doing this. It's just that thing that human brains do. I think one of the biggest things is understanding, because I've experienced this myself so many times, is that we've been operating from this baseline and then we get success and that baseline resets. We've moved the bar up. What was once unattainable has become attainable, and now it becomes the standard. We stop seeing it as a new and exciting place that we've been waiting on. We see it as a new starting point, and we forget where we've come from. Right? We never look back down the mountain to see how far we've come. We only keep seeing the never-ending freaking mountain. So that leads me to step 2, which is acknowledge where you have come from. And I mentioned this in last week's episode, but it's such an important exercise and it fits here also. And that is, once you've achieved success and all of the doubt, the crash comes, it's a perfect time to do that gap and gain exercise. Most importantly, that gap exercise, which is go back to visualize that person that was you before you started. Before you achieved any of it, and list all the things that you've done and all the things that you've created. And sit in that list. It will feel uncomfortable. And when you coach with me in one of my 2 programs, you have the tools to feel that discomfort. But it's so important to just see it as a factual list. So that every time your brain is like, oh my God, this is a problem, you can be like, okay, but once upon a time, I didn't create any of this stuff. And I recognize that I have merely reset the bar, and that's the source of this discomfort. Just seeing that and acknowledging it will make the crash so much easier to work through. Because then from there, we can go to the next step, which is to really evaluate. You've made the list of what you've created. Now we're going in, okay, it's possible it's not a fluke. And if it's possible it's not a fluke, what did I do to help me get here? What are all the things that I did that helped me create this? What was everything that worked on my behalf? What did I learn from that? What thinking got me here? What was some of that work? What were some of those beliefs that I sat in that helped me get to this place? And to be able to restate to yourself, I created that. And if that feels too hard to believe, it's possible that this isn't a fluke. It's possible that I am the one that created this. And then you can go to that list of, okay, what didn't work? What did I try that didn't quite connect? And what did I learn from that? How could these things that didn't work have also helped me get here? What did I learn from that? Am I stronger? Am I more resilient? Am I more determined? Am I better at feeling my dual emotions at one time? Am I more comfortable with people saying no to me than I've ever been before? Like, use what didn't work and reframe it into how it's allowed you to grow. There's a little bit of like how you wouldn't have been able to do that when you first started. It's really owning how you've shifted and how you've changed and how you've transformed. Who are you today because of achieving that success that you weren't before? What are you now willing to experience that you weren't before? You didn't get to that success by fluke. You got there with a lot of purposeful intention, and for sure a whole hell of a lot of tripping and falling and getting back up again, and therefore a lot of that growth that comes with that. And then you can use that information to decide what you're going to do next. You have learned so much. You have come so far. Use that knowledge to keep going and decide the next thing you're going to try next. This is a core to the mastermind program, to the Path to 100K program, is figuring out what worked that you love, what didn't work, or what don't you love, and what are all the new things you're going to try to add to each of those two lists over and over and over and over again until you create that 100K year. Listen, there's no level in the future where you won't experience this. So it's really important to realize you're always going to be resetting your baseline. And the last step I really think is it's understanding that and also having a community that's going to celebrate with you. Really taking a moment, even if it's 30 seconds to a minute, even better if you can stretch that out longer, to allow yourself to really feel the emotions of the person who has changed. Oh, this gets me so overwhelmed. Celebrate you. Even if it's only a moment that you can hold the real celebration of it. Yes, let's acknowledge that now you feel more exposed. Now you feel like you've set yourself up for more people to criticize you. And that is scary. And it is uncomfortable. But before we dive into that, I'm just going to, you want to know what? Anxiety and worry, I'm going to get to you at the top of the hour. But right now, I'm just going to sit in the accomplishment of this. I did that. And no one can take what I've already done away from me. That is worth celebrating. That is the most important thing. And now we're going to do it again. And this is where I'm going to share, I'm going to get super vulnerable and really share with you my true story here. And that is, the masterminders already know this. I've talked to them and coached with them very openly since we started in August. I'm actually recording this episode mid-September, so it's only been 6 weeks since we've been going. So it's still very top of mind. And that is this fact right now, that as of right now, I am making less this year than last year. That's fact. I can pull up the dollars and cents. I can call my CFO, Mark, and have him run the numbers. And for sure, my revenue is less than year than last. Now, a lot of that is because of conscious choices that I've made. I've decided to offer payments on both my programs where that wasn't a standard before. And that means the money in the bank is smaller. But I also have monthly income coming in. Having regular monthly income was pretty abstract before. So it just hasn't all hit the bank account yet. But also some of my sales are down. Now I have more clients. There's more heads. There's more humans that I'm working with. But I decided to remove 2 of my masterminds and I replaced it with a program that's 1/10 of the cost. I literally have to sell 10 times more people to replace the income of 1 client. So I'm working with significantly more humans, but the actual sales is lower by the sheer mechanics of how numbers work. Now, these choices were conscious, but that hasn't kept my brain from freaking out. No, it hasn't. Remember, I'm still a human being too. There's no off-ramp to my humanity. It's telling me that it's all over. It's telling me nobody wants this anymore. I literally am working with more human beings than I've ever worked with before. And my brain is such a fucking asshole. It's like, yep, but look at the bank. It really wants to tell me that like I've achieved the last success crash. Like the worst lie the success crash is going to tell you is that you've already hit your pinnacle. That's the most success you're ever going to have. It's all downhill from here. You might as well just probably pack it up. For sure, my brain has told me that. What a little bitch Helga is, right? But those are moments in time where I have those thoughts. And of course, it's in complete contradiction too. I restructured my business this year. And this is just that little dip before I skyrocket. And here's the biggest thing about the success crash is understanding that at this point, I've experienced so many of them that I'm no longer in a rush. Now that I've had success multiple times over and I've met or surpassed goals so many times in the past and I've experienced that reset over and over again, I understand that it is not better there than here. So I'm no longer in the rush to get there because I know the confidence isn't waiting for me in a pretty package when I get there. Listen, the millions of dollars is coming. The thousands of confident coaches, they already exist in the world. Whether they've met me yet or not, they are absolutely coming into my orbit. They're absolutely coming into my fold. I am absolutely serving the hell out of them. It's as good as done because it was written in the stars, my friends. And I can enjoy where I am right now. And that I can enjoy where I am right now is actually what will make the next success crash so much less powerful for me. There might still be a ping because I'm going to have that reset happen, but I'll be like, oh yeah. It'll be a blip on the freaking radar because I won't expect things to be any better there. I know that my success level is going to reset. I know many of the same old fears will come up, but I've already coached on those, so I'll know exactly what to do when it happens again. I'll be like, oh, hey, thought, yeah, I remember you. Seen you many times before. There you are again. Not only is it possible that it's not true, I actually don't even have to believe you anymore. I don't believe you anymore. Some new ones are going to come up. But guess what? I can meet those with curiosity. Oh, hey, that's a new one. Never experienced that one before. But if I can coach through the other ones, I can coach through this one. It'll make that moment I'm in the crash so much less smaller, the more of them that I experience. Because I'm no longer dependent on that success to make me feel good. So you minimize the crash, the more you separate that codependency with your business. Success crash is real, and you can work your way through it. Know that it's going to happen. And also know that they get smaller and more insignificant every single time. And what spurred you to become a life coach and work with other people in the first place, it's as good as done. It's as written in the stars. If you remember anything, remember that right there. Okay, coaches? So the success crash is real. So make sure you're in Free to Paid Coach so I can coach you through it when it happens to you. This is my jam. I've experienced it. I'm very vulnerable and open and authentic about my own success crashes. And I absolutely am the best coach that can help you through it. Coach, it's time to sign your first free client, your first paid client, your next client, and to learn how to do it consistently and having a hell of a lot of fun along the way. This is exactly what you're going to do in Free to Paid Coach. It's the only program giving you step by step what to do to become a paid coach and step by step how to handle the roller coaster emotions that come with doing what you need to do to become a paid coach. If you know you can't not do this life coaching thing, but believing that you can do it, handling rejection, and remembering how to do all of those things shuts you down, the Free to Paid Coach community is waiting for you. Find everything that you're looking for inside. It's only $1,000, payments are available, and then you are in forever. Visit amylatta.com/FTPC to join us right now. See you inside. Let's get paid, coach. Thanks so much for listening to the Confident Coaches podcast. I invite you to learn more. Come visit me at amylatta.com. And until next week, let's go do epic stuff.